second video for grace and boundaries, just kind of expanding off of it. One technique you can do to start implementing this into your life. So many people go through life not having intentionality and purpose behind what they're doing in life. Everything from what time they wake up through the day, to what they put in their body throughout the day, to what time they leave to go and get things done. Overarching themes and goals in their life that they don't even have. They're just kind of existing. They're just kind of doing life day to day. And I've been there, done that. I know what that feels like. It's pretty daunting and it feels overwhelming. There's this thing where you're feeling like you work to live and you live to work. Like there's this cycle where you don't feel like you're ever going to get on top of anything. You feel stuck in this hamster wheel. And whenever something happens, like a flat tire, it feels devastating. You know, your radiator goes out, it feels devastating. Things happen and then it feels so massive and so overwhelming. Without intentionality in your life, you are doomed to create this perpetual state of being in chaos and rigidity. And this is going to create this consistent state of hyper and hypo arousal within the window of tolerance. You're going to be more often than not outside of the window of tolerance. You're just on the brink, on the edge of it, ready to stress it. You're constantly there. Your cortisol levels are at peak all the time. Being purposeful about your life helps you to begin to integrate grace and boundary. And a great way to begin living life in this way is to establish something that I call standards and objectives. So I want to clarify this, standards and objectives. And then hopefully this can kind of start to give you some framework of what I mean from a standpoint of intentionality and purpose. Standards are these overarching goals and themes that you have in your life that you want in your life, that you want to have as these things that begin to follow within your moral compass or fall within life patterns that you want for yourself. And then objectives are these micro goals or these tasks, very specific and organized, that help expand on this overarching theme that you have that is a standard for yourself. So for example, the one standard I have for my life is I want to make sure I'm taking care of my body on a daily basis. I want to make sure I'm doing something for my body that is active and healthy. Okay, so that's a standard. It's an overarching theme. There is one specific into it because it's daily, but overall, when I talk about activity for my body, there's not a lot of specifics within what that means. It could be sauna, it could be yoga, it could be meditation, it can be, going out and running around in the yard with the kids. It can be taking the dog out, taking Lois out for a walk, all sorts of different things of what that can be. So let's now talk about objectives. An example of objective that falls within that theme that I have of trying to take care of my body on a daily basis, what I do is a week ahead of time, I know exactly what my workout plans are. So Monday, let's say Monday is going to be like chest and back, and then Tuesday is going to be arms and core, and then Wednesday is going to be maybe plyometrics and blah, 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 right? And there's this plan that kind of follows out throughout these objectives that I have that are very task and oriented specific. In fact, I have a time set in my calendar, okay, from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., this is when this window is meant to be completed at. And so not only do I know exactly what the exercise is going to be, but I also have a time and when that window is going to be, and I have a date and when that is going to take place. So let's give a real life example of what grace and boundaries would look like within this example that I just gave you. Okay, so a while back, a couple of years ago, I threw out my back in an exercise in a very dumb way, and really from a heavy lifting standpoint, I had to be pretty subtle with my back for about 6 months. I had to do a lot of recovery with that. Let's say Monday I wake up and it says chest and back, and when I'm getting out of bed, my back is saying, nope, we've been here, done that. We made this mistake. Listen to what I'm telling you. And my back is telling me something specific. It's saying, don't stress me out today. Don't do it. It's going to be a mistake. What do I do? So I could be pretty rigid, right? I could be rigid, and my ego can want to come in and be like, bro, tough it out. You got this. You can do it. Just go heavy, go hard, make it happen. You can do this. The problem with that rigidity is it's ego-driven. It's driven in a way to try to counterbalance the deep insecurities that I have. What am I going to do to try to make myself feel good in the moment and try to placate my ego, hurt myself? Well, that seems stupid, and that seems outside of my window of tolerance. Lacking rationality completely. So what do? I need to balance that rigidity, that like internal ego in me that wants to say, dude, just do it, you can do it, bro, let's go. I want to counterbalance that with some grace and say, hey, we've experienced this. Our body's telling us something. Let's listen to the warning signs. And then I want to match that within this integrative way of being in the window of tolerance with boundaries. I want to bring in boundaries now to begin to mesh those two together. So grace and boundaries. So the plan was chest and back. The reality is I woke up and my back is telling me don't do it. I have a previous history and I need to learn off of that history. I need to be able to use the evidence of my own life to help me make decisions in my future. So, okay, the evidence says when my back feels this way, don't go heavy on it and don't let your ego injure yourself. Okay, so now I offer myself grace. The grace is you're not going to do that. And then now we need to establish a boundary. It helps match with the overall standard that I got going on over here, this overall theme. Remember, the overall theme is take care of your body every day and make sure that you're doing something so that you're being active on it. And so if that's the standard, then I need to make sure that this new boundary that is being established through grace, I need to make sure this new boundary over here matches with this overarching goal that's taking place up here, which is take care of your body. Okay. All right. So then what can I do? Well, I can do a myriad of things, man. I can go out. I can do yoga for a long period of time and make sure that I'm really being careful with those upward dogs, right? So, okay, I can do yoga. I mean, if it's really hurting, man, I'll go sit in the sauna for an hour. Cool, I'll sit in the sauna for an hour. That I'm still taking care of my body, right? I can do all sorts of different things. I can go out on a mild jog, which isn't going to hurt my back very much for me. I can still do chest exercises, but ones that's going to be supported by a flat bench. So, and I'm going to make sure that I'm not going too heavy where I'm arching that lower back on the chest exercises that you can tend to do on like a barbell press or something, right? So that's a good way of making sure that I'm offering myself grace and boundaries and I'm staying within that zone, which is the window of tolerance. That's the zone. I'm thinking rationally, I'm feeling my feelings, and I'm being able to stay within this zone where I'm not going to hurt myself because I'm trying to stay too rigid within the standard that I have for myself. A lot of people have problems with establishing standards. I'm going to use a different word that you might use more commonly, which is goal. A lot of people have a problem holding goals, setting a goal even, and then trying to achieve that goal. And if you have a goal that's like real short-winded, you can relatively achieve that. Okay, I want to go out and I want to run today. Okay, that's a goal. It's a poor standard, if you ask me. Because overall what you're trying to do is you're trying to change avenues of your life and behaviors of your life that create a more evolved version of yourself. The only way to really make sure that you're going to do huge changes in your life, and ones that you want, ones that deep down you know, like, man, I wish I could do this. I wish I could look this way. I wish I could feel this way. I wish I could do these things. I wish I could make this type of money. I wish I could blah, 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 blah. I wish I could stop being so fearful of things that I want for myself and stop avoiding them. Okay, cool. If you want to do that, you got to be consistent. You got to meet your objectives over and over and over. You got to really begin to establish good objectives. So micro goals. So let's say it's in college or something. Okay, I want to be able to graduate college. Well, how would you break that down from a micro goal standpoint? Okay, well, I'm going to focus on this semester. Let me break that down even to more micro goals. I'm going to break this down into the first part of the semester and the second part of the semester. I'm going to focus all my energy on this first part of the semester, so I'm not thinking about graduating 4 years from now, because that's overwhelming for me, right? So that's an example of how you're going to establish micro goals to help things become more consistent. Again, being able to establish the standard, right, which is, you can use the word goals if you want to use the word goals, but you're going to establish an overarching standard. And then within the standard, you're going to establish objectives that help meet that standard. And these objectives are things that you really want to try to do on a consistent basis, day in and day out. And these are little things. We can get into some of these standards, but some of them are like moral standards. Some of them are practical standards. So these are all things that we can talk about in our sessions. And if you're not a client of mine, and you're seeing this video somehow because maybe a client of mine shared it with you or something like that, or you stumbled upon it, cool. I'm glad you found the video. I hope you found it helpful, and if it was helpful for you, I hope you can share it with somebody. I think I'm good. I think the video is long enough. Man, you like it. Bro, tough it out. You got this. You can do it. Just go heavy, go hard, make it happen, man. You can do this.